Hello and welcome to Think Share. My name's Zach, here to bring to you what I've been thinking about, sharing about, talking about, listening to, reading about that doesn't belong in math class to make you the goodest version of yourself. My tone today is a little under what it normally is. I just had a pretty challenging conversation with somebody. I wanted to share it with you all because I think it's valuable for me to show that it's not all unicorns and rainbows over here. I have my own emotional challenges some days, and today's one of those. So one of the things I think is really important in a relationship with someone is that you can see where they're coming from and they can see where you're coming from. And as much as I think the old school people out there say, a happy wife means a happy life, I think that's kind of biased and one-sided and kind of BS. And I think one of the things that makes my marriage with my wife is really unbelievable is the fact that even when one of us is upset, one of us we've never actually had a situation where one of us was not able to sympathize with the other despite us both being mad and help each other get off. And I think today was one of those days. I was working on the house, and I think I wasn't thinking, and I think I got some lead paint chips from the trim that, we're pretty sure it has lead in it, but there's some trim around our house, which I was pulling off some cords that were stapled to them, and there were some paint chips that fell off. And as my wife works with animals as a veterinarian practice manager, or a vet practice manager, she sees every day animals come in with lead paint poisoning, lead poisoning in general, and it often comes from paint chips. And she's learned a lot about the problems that can be caused by that, and so she is on a hyperactive awareness that I'm not when it comes to being safe with working with possible lead chips. And I can, looking back on it now, I can really see where I could have caused a huge problem. Like, we might need to get a new couch because it's possible that I got enough lead on the couch that our cat Samson, when our Samson comes to live with us, it could brush off on him and he could lick it and die. And I would have a really hard time dealing with myself if I knew that were my fault. So what I'm trying to get at here is, at first the conversation with her started where I felt really bad because I'd been mentally really trying to get to the point where I've been really struggling with getting housework done. Housework, work that I've never actually done before. I've never worked on a house before. And so even though some of these things are really stupid, it still takes a pretty solid amount of mental prepping for me to work on it. And so after a day of maybe 5 hours while she was at work on a Sunday, there's a lot of things I obviously could have been doing, but I was trying to get some of that work done. I messed up. At the same time, I shared it with her immediately when she called out of work. So I was like, yeah, I got X, Y, and Z done. And she was like, wait a second, you pulled the paint chips off? And, because she cares so much about our cat, she was upset that it's possible that I've endangered me, her, and our cat. And, at first I was just really upset she wouldn't acknowledge me for doing those things. And at some point, on YouTube, I kind of had a little cry fest, but, I was able to, as we say at Landmark, get off it. And I was able to realize all the things I have to be thankful for. And so what? My wife didn't acknowledge me for doing some housework. Quit being a wimp and own up to the fact that you actually messed up by endangering all of us by not being careful with something that's pretty poisonous. It's it could be doing the dishes and, doing it with some bleach and leaving bleach on the dishes. That's dangerous. Don't be proud because I did the dishes. Someone ought to be pissed at me for using bleach with the dishes. So I'm really thankful that my wife cares so much about us and our health, and I have a certain amount of aloofness that really puts me at a disadvantage, and it's my own damn fault. Sometimes I don't care about things that she cares about, and I set myself up to mess up and not perform very well. So if you're looking for a spouse out there, you got to learn to take 100% responsibility. And it's taken me 2 hours now to come to my grips and take responsibility for the upset that I've caused. But even when you're having a tough time emotionally, you got to find how you can get onto seeing their side and seeing their commitment. Really important. And I'm really thankful that she was able to thank me, and she was able to see my point of view of being sad that it couldn't be acknowledged despite the fact that I messed up. So find somebody that you can find. You got to work on yourself first before you can have that, and I'm just really thankful that I have my wife for that. Thank you for listening. If you like this, share it with someone else. If you think someone can use it, share it. Maybe tweet it out. If I've provided you any valuable with this podcast, leave me a rating on iTunes. I would really love that, as I have little to no attention on this channel. Thank you for listening. Stay weird.